I use that at the project, that visual analogy, because when she said it to me, I'm like, oh my God, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I really thought before she was just trying to stop my creativity. And so I'd go fists up, when in reality, she was just like, I'm trying to make sure like our nest is still protected.
So for you and Diane, I mean, you guys seem like you work very, very well together. And as far as just how you guys operate within marriage, what are some things that have been just highly valuable and very useful?
Over the years, we realized that, hey, there's a few things we need to do to make this work. We need to stay in our lane, so we need to define our lanes. Well, I'm a pretty decent visionary. Like, I can see a vision, and as my wife says, I'm a force to be reckoned with. And so just be clear on the vision, and in that relationship, she also has discovered her role, and I've seen it too. She's operationally really sound, and she can, so as she says, she goes, you go and you just like create this wake of destruction, and I come around and I organize and create systems and processes so the destruction is less, but you can still work at the speed that you want to work. And that makes me happy. And then when we come home, I realized many, many years ago, talking about Fit Body Boot Camp, and I wanted to market the franchise one way. She wanted to, thought that it was ridiculous for me to pull money on the house to spend that money on marketing it the way I wanted to market. And before you know it, we're in the hot tub, relaxing, but arguing with each other. The next morning, I was like, hey, do you think once we come home, we have a rule that we don't talk about our business? But I learned long ago that create your own lane and define what her lane is and my lane is, number one. Number two, create rules that we're not gonna talk about work around the dinner table. We're not gonna talk about work on date night, because then it's just more of the same meetings, but just at a nice restaurant, right? And what I've also learned is that I need to be better in communicating what my next move is, because sometimes I'll make a move and she'll hear through it through Joan or another team member, and at the end of the day, she's our CFO, Chief Financial Officer.
Right.
And so if she's like, holy crap, I wasn't told about this, it's not just my CFO. Like, I can surprise Joan, but I can do that to Joan, and no offense, Joan, but we're not going home together.
Right.
Do that to my wife,
Yeah.
We're going home together. And now she's a wife, and she's like, hey man, you disrespected me. I'm no longer so spontaneous in launching a business or a marketing scheme. I just take an extra hour or day to talk to her about it. And what I've realized is it creates this calm in her that she has her finger on the pulse of what her crazy husband is about to do. And she's not trying to stop the crazy, she just wants to know where the crazy is headed, so she could do her part with it. And I have so much respect for that. But that was the last piece of thing that we had to work through for us to not be so confrontational, because then I would interpret it as, why do you always have to C-block me every time that I'm trying to do something big and exciting? But at the same time, she wasn't trying to just C-block me. She was trying to figure out, like, where do we get the money from for that? And I'm just like, take it from the other company. She said, you can't just take money from an international franchise that gets audited by the Federal Trade Commission to start a new business. Like, you have to have a reason why. It's like, oh, I didn't know that, right? Like, if it wasn't for her, I'd probably be in jail because I paid my taxes incorrectly. And so I really needed to learn that piece. But now that we have our lanes, we have our rules, and then I take this extra step of pausing and letting her know, like, this is my move, what do you think? She's got a really good way of saying it. She goes, we're both jagged rocks. This is all how marriage is. Two jagged rocks. They all come with their own problems and traumas and situations and filters that they see life through. And they go and get married, and you're put in a burlap bag, and the idea is, life and time shake that burlap bag around. Now, if you don't have the discipline and the ability to show grace and compassion and forgiveness, one of the rocks is gonna jump out, divorce. But if you stay in that bag long enough, my wife is so good with metaphors, you stay in that bag long enough, soon you can reach in and pull out two really smooth pieces of rocks that just fit together perfectly. And that's what we've become after 21 years. All to her credit, not mine. I'm gonna be very honest with you on that. I use that at the project, that visual analogy, because when she said it to me, I'm like, oh my God, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I really thought before she was just trying to stop my creativity. And so I'd go fists up, when in reality, she was just like, I'm trying to make sure like our nest is still protected. All Mama Bird wants is like, hey, is the nest safe from predators, and do we have food to feed my young? If so, yes, then all she really expects is of Papa Bird to stand on the ledge of the nest with its arms spread, like, hey, I've got you, I'm protecting you from the wind and the rain. Now, Papa Bird says, I'm going to build a bigger 5-story nest up there on that branch for you, and it's going to be amazing, right?
Yeah,
That's what we want to do as men,
Right.
because we're visionaries. We want to go and conquer a new adventure. And she's just like, this nest is fine, dude. Like, now you're giving me insecurity, you're giving me doubt, you're giving me fear. What I mean, you're going to leverage this nest to build that nest, and we're going to get 5 nests out of this one, only if you could do it right. If you can't, then we have to go live in my mom and dad's nest, right? No wife wants to hear that. So by actually communicating, which was the last piece of the puzzle that I learned, man, it's just such a joy to be in that burlap bag with the right person.